everyone being here on such a cold evening. I don't think the switch is ever going to end. Matt Conti, as usual, is taping. Are there any other members of the press here? Okay, just Matt. And how about Government Representative?
Nicole Leo from the Mayor's Office. I wanted to remind everyone that Boston Shines will be May 10th. The registration site is live at cityofboston.gov/Boston Shines. We hope everyone joins us again this year. We know that you have a Clean Streets Committee, so we hope they'll join us. And,
We used to have a Clean Streets.
well, we still have people who are interested in it. So if everyone could sign up and help us, we would love it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Jesse, I'm from Councilor Ryan Frost's office. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks, Jim.
Hi, everybody. Maria Popolo from Senator Petroselli's office.
Patrick Lyons from Representative Mike Wood's office. Nothing new to report.
Maria Linda, Councilor Flaherty's office. Excuse me. Nothing to report, just here to listen.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Okay, President's report. The first thing I want to mention is there was a very important trash hearing at City Hall last Monday night. If you couldn't be there, right now I think bids are out, and the bids will be in on March 27th and 28th. They don't have a specific schedule for pickup. They had 4 possibilities that I heard. One was status quo, which is put it out at 5 in the evening, pick it up at 7 in the morning, 3 days a week, 1 day of recycling. The second possibility would be what a lot of people signed on a petition, which is put it out from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. 3 days a week, and then they would collect from 9 to 12. And what I heard for the other 2 possibilities would be 2-day pickups, but 2-day pickups of both regular and recycled materials, first on the normal schedule that they have now, and secondly on that 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. schedule. As I say, I think they're going to select a bidder before they even decide to negotiate with them in terms of the hours. So I guess we're going to pretty much keep our eyes and ears open, and unless they want more input after they have the bidder, that bidder is going to come here and look for them. So we'll see what happens. The other thing I want to mention is the Library Gala is coming up next week on 20th. And it's at the Fairmont Battery Wharf from 6:30 to 9, I'm sorry. If you want to go to their site, which is www.friendsnortheastlibrary.org, and you buy tickets, or if you want more details, I can do that. The Good Neighbor Award for March, which showed up today on Matt's site with a picture between Janet Gilardi and the winner was Joan Murphy, who cleans Columbus Park virtually every morning with her stick, and she sticks it in the litter and she picks it up, and she's a well-deserved winner, I think. All right, there was a consolidation proposal, which I'm sure most of you have read about, from the North End Waterfront Neighborhood Councils, and I'll give you a little background on what I know. Basically, it was approximately 6 weeks ago, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, that Phil wrote me an email and wanted to get together over coffee. And I said, no, that's fine. And we got together, we had a very friendly chat. And he mentioned he was just becoming the president of NEWRA. I can tell you that there was one issue brought up, which was that it was difficult for a lot of applicants to have to go between 3 boards, basically. RZLC, then our regular meeting, and then the NEWRA meeting. And actually, we both want to make that easier on businesses and individuals. I mentioned that we've cut down on some of these meetings in that if it's a zoning possibility and people just want to add a basement, or they want to convert a basement, or they want to go from 3 apartments to 2, or something like that, we often just send a letter saying that we don't object, that we don't bring them back here. And I mentioned that if that was a possibility, but Phil mentioned that by law they have to review all of the zoning proposals. So that was the only possibility we discussed. We didn't discuss anything about a consolidation. Then I got an email from him on Sunday night, which I didn't see till Monday, which proposed this consolidation. And I was told that it would appear in the newspapers on Tuesday. and on that site. It did appear on that site, it did appear in the regional review. It didn't appear in Boston Globe, which I'm not surprised at. I don't think they're all that concerned about it. But basically, and he also asked to speak at this meeting. Well, I felt it was a very complicated proposal, so that we certainly within the executive committee needed to discuss it. It didn't give us a lot of time to discuss it. My immediate response was I didn't think we'd want to discuss it at the meeting because, again, we have a full agenda and we hadn't discussed it and it's complicated. But the executive committee did get together on Tuesday night from 8 to 10. You know, we all had other plans and we went over it. I had emailed Phil about this and whether he would come to our next executive committee meeting, and I got no response. So basically, we pretty quickly agreed that we would not entertain this proposal as is. Two key reasons why were, number one, we were offered 4 positions on a board of 14. Now, my math says that's 28% of the vote and 72% for them. I don't think that's consolidation of equals, so that left that out. They also said that NEWRA would not any longer be able to vote on these issues. That would essentially disenfranchise all of you out there, and I don't think we wanted to do that. We're basically a member-driven organization. So that was it, and we came up with a proposal to basically rebut what they said, because after all, people were reading it and they were thinking we're not responding, and the problem is us not consolidating. So we did print something in that space, and we sent it to the regional, which, you know, is a little behind the printing. But that's basically where it stands. Now, I know Phil is here tonight, and although he's not on the agenda, we may have a little extra time, and if you'd like to make a statement at this point, I have no problem with that. Can you just give your full name and what street you're on?
My name is Philip Carter. I live on Prince Street. I wasn't prepared to speak tonight because you guys so publicly.
Right. Well, I know you're all here, so.
Yeah, so we just came, what I'm trying to do and what my board unanimously has, suggested we do is try to consolidate the system. And it's not just for the applicants, it's also for the abutters. People who have to come to 3 meetings on weekday nights, and it's very burdensome for everybody. So that's one of the things we wanted to begin a discussion, and there's been kind of talk that we're planning like a fiat or, trying to bully people. Really, we're trying to start a discussion. That's why we put it on Matt's website and put it in the newspaper. We want to start a discussion on how, as a neighborhood, we can come together and solve this problem, because when our 2 boards disagree, the city ignores us as a neighborhood, and that's a problem. And it's not about power, it's not about, trying to impose our will. We're trying to create one forum for people pro and for, in favor of and against things to come and make a decision as a neighborhood. And that's really what we're trying to do. And by putting it on the website, I hope we start a discussion. I'm sure there'll be more steps. And then I did have a conflict I was trying to get out of to get to your executive session meeting. And as a newly married person, I have to get the approval of my wife before I can make those kind of decisions. But yeah, so I'd like to come to your executive session. I'd love to try to continue this, because I think it's a worthwhile pursuit. And we understand that this body has a great purpose in the neighborhood. We want you to continue. We just want there to be one place where the city mandates applicants and abutters to go. And you guys can vote on it. The Chamber of Commerce still hears applicants, and we would invite everybody who wants to apply to come in front of as many people, as many neighbors as possible, but we just think there should be one required place for people to go. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think my recommendation would be that either we talk about it first,
Yep.
like maybe 3 of us and 3 of you,
Okay.
and then we can maybe come to a proposal and then float that in the neighborhood and see how people feel. Okay, great, thank you. There was a big meeting last night about the greenway in the neighborhood. For those who couldn't make it, Robin, our representative, was there. Would you like to say something about it?
Sure. We had a great turnout. Between 20 and 25 people came on a very wet, rainy night. Basically, Jesse Brackenbury, the new executive director that introduced himself here and at many of the neighborhood meetings, ran the meeting. He talked about the overview of what needs to happen in the North End parks, focusing a lot on some of the repairs that need to be made. Some of the fountains need to be repaired. There are some water leaks in the plumbing that need fixing. The twinkle lights on the Freedom Trail need to be replaced. And then the horticulture problems and challenges that they're having right now. Some of the corners of the greenway are not as inviting as they'd like. We have some plant challenges as well. Some of the boxwood beds are not doing as well and don't look as inviting and healthy as they would like them. So they introduced a horticultural expert, a woman named Lyndon Miller, who had a lot of success in some of the major parks in New York City, Bryant Park and the park in the Conservancy, Central Park Gardens. Sorry. And she gave a pretty exciting presentation of her proposal for the new plantings. So everyone was pretty excited about that and how she's going to enliven the horticultural aspect of the Greenway and the North End parks. They also discussed replacing some of the park furniture. The benches that are there in the North End parks, those metal benches that are too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer, are going to be replaced. They proposed some porch swings that would hang from the pergola that they're going to discuss that also look exciting and interactive. And then there was a good rich discussion and some great questions. Nothing earth-shattering, but it was very nice. They also reminded everyone that the Greenway Gala is coming up in May, on May 13th. Tickets are not yet available, but they will be available on the website. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have about the Greenway. Hi, Dave.
I just want to make a statement. Dave Kubiak, Cleveland Place. I was at the meeting last night. I've attended many Conservancy meetings and many Conservancy board meetings over the last 5 years that the Conservancy has existed. Last night was the first meeting that was designed for public input, and it was great. They actually provided lots of time for questions and comments. There was a bit of interaction. There was a good interaction. It was just a really good meeting, and I hope Jesse continues to run community meetings like that. I'd like to see the board meetings run something like that as well. Secondly, the plan is really good. It's very similar to what we in the community have been asking for 2 years. We finally have a plan, but only in concept at this point, and it's actually pieces, concept pieces. But it should move forward. And what I'm worried about, and I think what NEWRA should send a letter on, is the time frame. There's no reason why we should have to wait 6 to 7 years to have those parks improved. So I'm going to push NEWRA to send a letter asking the Conservancy to make it a much greater priority than it seems to be. And we need to also be part of the design when the design comes out as well. We should be able to comment on the design. And I hope that design comes out soon. Lyndon was there last night. The horticultural issue's great. I don't even know if she's under contract to actually create designs at this point. I hope she is, because I want to see it move forward.
Great, well, thank you for that. I will definitely tell Jesse that you thought the new format was better. That's great.
Also tell him no more than 2 years, not 6 or 7.
Okay, I will pass that along. I do think part of the issue is funding and their fundraising, so they just don't have the money to do that more quickly, but as Jesse said, he will try his best to raise as much money.
What's the total budget? What's the total annual budget? I believe it's well over $4 million, half of which comes from the state. And last night they said they were able to find $25,000 for those parks. I don't accept that either.
I will definitely bring that back to Jesse, but thank you for that feedback. So, and thank you for coming.
It was great.
Go ahead. Sue.
Do we know if the state is still going to continue funding? Because there was a question that pulling that, right?
That's a really good question, actually. I didn't, sorry. No.
The lease extension goes to what?
I'm sorry.
I think it's a 1 year, I believe it's a 1 year lease extension, which means in less than a year, the state will have to decide whether it renews the lease or not.
I know they extended it a number of times. I've lost track of the new
I
extension.
believe it's another year.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
That's a 1 year extension.
Haven't done my
Yep.
homework. I apologize.
Okay, thanks, Rob. We've since had Kathy Carangelo from Sal Martinez's office. Come in, anything from Sal's office?
Just reminding everybody that street cleaning is in full effect.
Cleaner streets. And Representative Aaron Michaelowitz is here. Anything?
First on the extension of the lease, I know that it ran out in February and they extended it again for a couple months. You know, I've spoken with the secretary about this. As we know, there'll be a new administration after this year. Governor Patrick's not running again, and I don't know what that means for Secretary Davies' position, but there will be a discussion of a longer-term lease at some point in time. I just don't know exactly what the amount, what the time is, or when it would be, but they are continuing to extend it. Two things I did want to point out. If you had seen Matt Conti's blog recently, there's been two things that we put in the transportation bond bill that both me and Senator Petroselli supported. One of which is capping parcel 12 to recommit to the commitments that were made to the north end during the Central Artery Tunnel project to turn parcel 12, if parcel 12 is not developed, to turn it into something that's different than what it is currently, which is, I believe, an eyesore in the neighborhood. And while we haven't necessarily wasn't talking about what we were going to make it into, it was more to just get a conversation started, because I think the time has now come that we don't know what type of development projects would potentially want to be there. There hasn't, nothing's come through so far. The Central Artery has been down now for, I'd say, over 8-9 years now. And I think it's time to restart that conversation amongst the community. So we will be having some type of public hearing at some point in time. I don't have the date yet, but I assume that it will be sometime in the spring. And I invite everyone to let us know what the community wants to see go at that parcel of land. In particular, parcel 6 was supposed to be the YMCA. That also didn't come through. I think that's a lot more challenging because it's a much bigger parcel of land versus parcel 12, which I think we can start a discussion and try to get something moving on that. The other thing is we put $100,000 in to study the idea of potentially building a public marina behind 585 Commercial Street. The idea behind that is, again, to get a conversation started on what that would be. I know that was something that was discussed when there was a proposal on 585 Commercial Street, which years back was to put a marina there. I forget if it was public or not. I'm sure other people in this room can tell me what that answer. It wasn't public. I believe that it's from my perspective, and I think from many of the community members that I've talked to, it is the right move to be taken in that area, because that dock, as we know, has been closed. Has been unsafe for over a decade, and again, it's also, I think it's just the right time to start a conversation on what should be going there. I think it should be a public marina. I think other people have told me that as much, but I'm open to suggestions on what it could actually be, and hopefully we'll have some more further discussion as we go forward on that piece as well. But those are just two pieces. I want to just clarify, because when you see it, it looked like it was going to happen, or like we were going to cover a parcel 12. It's just more to get things moving and to get the community involved. And I think that's what we're going to be hoping to do sometime in the spring. So obviously you'll hear more about it as time goes on.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. And of course, we're going to have a presentation tonight by Ralph. Just one presentation about what might be on parcel 12.
Right.
But if we hear of anybody else who's making proposals, we'll bring them here too. Of course. It's going to be a long process. Go ahead, Ian.
Aaron, 585 will just be directly behind 585, or will it be
I think that's open for discussion. I think it would depend on what could go there, and how big it would be is really fluid at the moment, I guess to say. Nothing's really concrete here. It's more just getting things more moving in a positive manner.
Because it's going to be quite active there with the proposed bicycle route goes through there.
Yeah.
And will be activity going on.
Well, we want to activate behind it. I mean, for most of us that have grown up in this neighborhood, that's an area that, the only thing I can point to is that that's where kids go to drink in during the summertime. And I mean, outside of that, I can't really point to one positive thing that takes place behind that park. So for me, and I think for many members of the community, I think just what it could be, I think we can think of a whole host of things that it could turn into. But I think it's just getting them moving in that positive direction. Not that I ever went drinking back then.
Not until you were over 21.
Yeah, right.
We're making a car wash again?
I don't know about that.
Was it really?
Yep.
Yeah, it was at one time.
I worked there, I guess. What do you want to say, Bob?
I want to go back to Flower, that's all.
Yeah, well, we all do. Go ahead.
Aaron, I want to tell you, I believe I have the 4 drawings that we have on a park situation on parcel 12. Save you a lot of money.
I'm sorry, Bob, I couldn't.
I could save you a lot of money. I think I still got the drawings of
Yes.
the parks that we spent $40,000-$50,000 on.
Yeah, I was gonna, before we again, we don't have a date yet for any public conversation, but before that time, we'll be certainly
I'll dig it
reaching
out.
out to you. Definitely.
Big dig drawings?
Okay,
From
do you
the
have a
big dig?
membership report for us?
The drawings?
It's still renewal time, and we did pretty well tonight with renewals, but we still have more information to renew, so I would like you to get a form for me tonight or mail it in, keep it fine, and also we've got several new members tonight, and I would like to welcome them, and if you'd like to get more information about NEWRA, if you go to our website, NEWRA.org, tells about people, it tells about the organization, it has a lot of documents and neighborhood links, so it would be a great resource and it's a great way to find out about things.
Thanks, Mary. Ian, Parks and Recreation?
Parks and open space meetings occur the first Tuesday of every month here at the Mazzaro Center. And in case anyone hasn't noticed, there's been vandalism on the Cops Hill Cemetery on Charter Street. Someone ripped out a portion of the fence, of the gate, I should say. And there's numerous beer bottles in the cemetery. So you need your eyes to catch these people who are doing this and help us preserve and maintain this precious spot. And the last thing is, spring is coming, and yesterday I noticed the tips of the daffodils on parcel 10 starting to pop through. So hope is on the way.
One thing I did want to clarify is what makes up our executive committee. It's essentially all of the officers and committee chairs. We have 4 officers right now. Ed Rice moved to Charlestown, but Ford is our vice president. I'm president. Nikki is our treasurer, and Elizabeth is our secretary. And 3 committee chairs are Mary and Ian and Victor. So Victor, do you have the ZLC?
Sure. Thanks, Jim. The ZLC report is informational, past items and items to come. 2 past items I can mention is there was an application filed with the licensing board by Frank De Pasquale's son for 11 Board Alley, which is the alley that goes down to the Panetteria, the bakery. And on the side of that is a new salumeria, and it was an application for a new wine and beer retail wine and beer license to be used in the salumeria. That was withdrawn. Withdrawn from the zoning licensing and construction committee meeting and from the licensing board agenda. The other past item is the Davide restaurant that we voted on at the last NEWRA meeting. And this is just to report the result. There were 3 items. One, transfer of the license to the new owner, Donato and Gianni, and NEWRA voted to support that. The second was to remove the restriction of background music only and permit the new owner to install 2 TV screens, and NEWRA voted to support that. The third and final was there was a no bar restriction on the license, which the applicant wanted to have removed. NEWRA voted to oppose that. The licensing board removed it. Now for new items, there will be at the Zoning Licensing and Construction Committee meeting March 25th, a woman by the name of Jeanette Cataldo, who has an interior design studio and intends to sell some items at the studio. And this will be at 40 Prince Street. I spoke to her. She has no refusal letter yet. When she has it, she will send it to us, but presumably it will be on March 25th. So that's 40 Prince Street. 74 to 76 Salem Street, Ferrara's Restaurant, represented by attorney Toscano, is being sold, and that will be on the March 25th ZLC agenda. 3 Mechanic Street, which is Ida's restaurant, to be called Aqua, I think. That will be on the agenda, and that's Attorney Ferrulo, because there needs to be zoning relief for the installation of handicapped accessible bathrooms. They had to go into a portion of the building that was not previously part of the restaurant, so they need zoning relief for that. And finally, at the March 25th CLC meeting, will be 106 Prince Street, also Attorney Ferrulo, conversion of the first floor unit into 2 units. Both of those two, the 3 Mechanic Street and the 106 Prince Street, are on the Board of Appeal agenda for April 22. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Okay, we have 3 zoning and licensing items on the agenda, but we may only report on 2 of them because Green Glover's owner, Dan McMyler, notified us that his father passed away recently and he had to go back to Ireland to take care of that. So at 8 o'clock when they're scheduled to report, if no representative is here, we'll have to put that one on.